Alright, this is a video that's meant to kind of describe for you step by step how to go about writing your lab report. You know, many of you have not written a formal lab report before, and I'm going to give you some guidance here about how to go about doing this particular assignment. Okay, essentially you write what I'm going to write. You can add some things and change some things here and there, and you know, by doing that, you're going to get a complete assignment. You're not going to get a formal mark, but it's good practice that I'm going to give you here, so that when I actually do another lab report a little bit later in the unit, you can use this as a model for you. You can remember going through the process, and then you're able to write that particular lab report with little help or no help. Okay, so that's kind of why we're doing it this way. So in bullet 1.5, which is in your module packet, it describes step by step how to go about writing your lab report, and I'm essentially going to use these instructions here to guide us as well. All right. So it says right here, your report will need, number one, a title. All right. So in Google Docs, you're going to click up here, and when you create your document, it will say nothing. It'll say untitled document. So when you click here, you want to write CAN lab report. All right. Then you want to go and create a CAN lab report title in the actual document as well. Okay. Then number two, you need a research question that describes what question will be investigated in the lab. So you'll need a heading, which I'll bring up right here, called research question. Make sure it's left justified and that it's underlined. And your research question is, why is the crushing can experiment an example of a physical change? Which is listed right here in bullet 1.5 at the very end. Why is the crushing can experiment an example of a physical change? Then you will need to do number three, a materials apparatus section that lists everything that was used. So just under the research question, you'll need another heading. And I'll bring that one up. So materials and apparatus, left justified and underlined, and you'll list everything that you used for this particular experiment. All right. Then number four, a procedure that outlines how to do the lab. So just under materials and apparatus, you will want a heading that, oops, let's fix that. Heading that, we have some trouble with Google Docs here, that lists everything that you did step by step. So the idea is to write a procedure about how you did everything in the lab, and you want to write that in such detail so that if you give it to somebody else, you know, someone walking in the hallway in the school, and we invite them into the lab, they could follow your procedure and get the exact same results that you did. All right. So you collected all your materials and apparatus. You filled the beaker about half with ice and some water. You filled the large beaker half with ice and some water until the beaker was about 90% full. Put a small amount of water inside the pop can, so the bottom of the can was just covered in water. The pop can was, pop can was heated over the Bunsen burner until the water boiled and steam came out of the can aggressively. You poured the water out of the can and quickly turned the can upside down in the ice water, and then you observed and recorded your observations. Okay, that's essentially what you need to write for your procedure. All right. Move me again. Number five, you need an observation section that describes what you observed during the lab. All right, so let's pull that up here. Trouble with this here. Write that. Observations. Okay, so we heard the water boiling inside the can. We saw the steam come out of the can. We smelled a strange odor as the can was heated up, and that probably had to do with some residue, like some pop, left in the can. Somebody might have said it smelled kind of like burnt marshmallows at some point. Then the can was crushed, but it appeared to remain aluminum even with that particular change. All right, and then basically write down everything you saw, you heard, you smelled while you were doing the experiment. Okay. Jump back to 1.5. Then you need a conclusion that describes how your observations led you to believe that the crushing can experiment is a physical change. So I'll bring that up. There we go. And here's what I wrote. In the experiment, the can was crushed. However, the aluminum that made up the can did not change into another substance. Can features were changed. It went from a cylinder to something very much less than a cylinder. The can features were changed, but the substance making up the can did not change. We still had aluminum. Since we did not make a new substance in the experiment, the crushing of the can is a physical change and not a chemical change. I mean, for example, you break a window. You're breaking the glass, you're changing the physical appearance of the glass, but it's still glass. Same thing here. We're changing the physical features of the can, but it's still aluminum. We're not making anything new. So it's not a chemical change, but a physical change. All right. So essentially, look at bullet 1.5. All right. Follow that step by step. Use this video here. Essentially write in a similar way what I've got written here. And when you've done that, then you're going to be given credit for writing the lab report, and then that's going to be used as practice for us so that we can get better at it later and become a little bit more of an independent creator of these sorts of lab reports. So hopefully you've enjoyed this, and I'm looking forward to receiving your reports. Take care.